All right, in today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the psychrometrics chart and how it can be used for room mixtures. So for example, we might be combining two different types of air with two different conditions, and we want to see what the resulting condition would be. This is a common task for mechanical HVAC system design engineers to do. So let's take a look at our example problem. Our example problem is that we have 7,500 CFM of chilled air at 57 degrees dry bulb and 56 degrees wet bulb, mixing with 2,500 CFM of outside air at 96 dry bulb and 78 wet bulb. Find the properties of the mixture. So this would be occurring in the summer. The first thing we need to do is mark the 2 points. So what I've done here on this slide is I've taken a copy of the psychrometrics chart, and you can see that what I've done is I've actually drawn on here two of the 2 points in red. Okay, so that's the first step, is to mark the points. Now we have to draw a line connecting the 2 points together, because when they mix, our resulting mixture is going to be somewhere along that line. And you can see that what I did here on this slide is I've gone ahead and drawn a line connecting those 2 points together. I went ahead and did this in PowerPoint, and I made the line a little bit thicker. That way it's easier to see. Otherwise, with all of this background information, it might be a little bit confusing. Okay. Now, the third step is we need to actually measure the line. We need to use the length of the line to help us determine the location of the final point. Since we cannot measure the line directly, if we had a piece of paper, we'd be printing it out, drawing the points and measuring the distance between them. We're going to have to either estimate it or use the Pythagorean theorem to help us in PowerPoint to be able to do that. So we're going to do the latter. I'm going to show you guys how you can use Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so the line that you drew forms a diagonal of a rectangle. So if I go back here and I click on the line, okay, you can see that it highlights those points. And if I go to the drawing tools, you can see it gives me the dimensions of that rectangle, 1.42 and 3.33. Okay, you get to get the dimensions, you click on the line and go to the drawing tools. So you can see that these were the dimensions that we got for our rectangle. So what I'm going to do, that line that we drew is actually the diagonal for that rectangle. So we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of that line, okay? So I take the two sides of the rectangle, which is basically the two sides of my triangle, square them, and I take the square root, and I get 3.62. So that's the length of my line, okay? The next step is we have to figure out where along that line the mixture is located. So we have to use ratios of the values given. So there's 75 CFM of the colder air and 25 CFM of the warmer air mixed together. Because there's more colder air, the mixture is going to end up closer to the cooler air. So adding the total value, the volume of the air, we have 7,500 plus 2,500, we get 10,000. We're going to take this smaller number, the ratio of the smaller value, the 2,500, and we're going to divide that by the total to get our ratio. So if we take 2,500 and divide that by 10,000, we get the ratio of 0.25. Now what we can get is we can multiply the length of the line that we drew with that 25%, and we get 0.25 times 3.62, we get a length of 0.91. So 0.91 inches or 0.91 units from that colder point is where our ending value is going to be. Now, in PowerPoint, what we can do is we're going to copy the line that we drew on the chart and change the color so it's easier to see. So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to take this line and I'm going to copy it. Okay, now when I paste it, this is very important. Okay, I have to paste using destination theme. I do not want to paste it as a picture. The reason why I don't want to paste it as a picture is if I paste it as a picture, I can't manipulate it as easily. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and go back to my directions here. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to change the color so it's easier to see. Okay, now I'm going to click on this here, and I'm going to go to Format Shape. I'm going to change my color. I'm going to change this to a purple line. That way it's very easy to see. And then I'll close that out. If I go back to my previous slide that has some information on it, we're going to change the length of the line to 0.91. Now, how do we do that? Since we have the rectangle, we have to change the size of the rectangle. So we're going to take the rectangle size, the old size, and multiply each side by 25%. If we do the math, we multiply the old sizes. These are our new sizes for the new rectangle. It's going to be 0.355 for the height and 0.8325 for the width. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go back and change those numbers. So to do that, I'm going to need to click on the new line. I'll go up to my drawing tools and I'm going to change my sizes. This number will change to 0.355, and you'll see that it'll change, it'll just change it to 2 decimal places. And I'll change this one to 0.8325 and hit enter, and then it went ahead and changed the length of that line. So there we go. We've got our new line to help us out. Okay? The next step is we're going to move the line on top of the old one. If we want to, we can delete the old line. That way it's a little bit easier for us to read. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move this line here right on top. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete my old red line. And what I need to do now is this area here, the end of this purple line, is the point that I need to read. So I'll go to the next slide and you'll see that I already have my values marked. So there's the new line. If you want to draw in a dot, you can using your drawing tools. Your drawing tools are up here. I like to use the pen, and you can change the color to match if you like. And when you're done using the pen, you go over to the select key to turn it off. Now I need to go ahead and read those points, read those values at that point. And if we take a look at it, I read my values. I get my dry bulb of 66. Okay, so I basically scroll down to get the 66. Okay, to get the wet bulb, I'm going to go diagonally, okay, to this value right here. And I get a value of 62.5. For our humidity ratio, we're going to go to the right, and then we have our humidity ratio over here of about 77. Okay, we need the relative humidity, and that's the curves that we're looking at, and we're right about 80%. Okay, we're very close to that curve. And then the last one is the enthalpy. So the enthalpy is a little bit challenging to read. Remember, what you need to do is you need to draw the lines and then move the parallel lines. So that's it. So the main thing to go over, we're going to just do a quick summary. We're going to add another slide. So we do a summary of steps. We're going to draw both points first. Then we're going to draw a line connecting them. Next, we're going to measure the length of the line. Okay, and in this case, with using PowerPoint, we can't directly measure the line. We have to measure the rectangle or the triangle that it makes. Then we're going to use the information to find the ratio. We're going to copy the old line and change the size for the new. Put the new line on top of the old. Remove the old line. And then finally read the values for the new point. Okay, so those are the steps that you can use to solve this type of problem.